Good afternoon, and welcome to this edition of the Legends of the PBA, Season 1, Episode 1, on this Monday, September 4th, 2023. And I am your host, Jason DeCanio, hoping that you are having a fantastic Labor Day weekend, and the conclusion of this fantastic Labor Day takes place right now. And hopefully you've been watching on the David 3000 Network all the premier shows that have graced us with their presence. And this is one of those programs that I'm hoping that you will enjoy. The Legends of the PBA season and what it's about basically is the Professional Bowlers Association. Mainly the ones that were from 1961 all the way to 1997 on ABC's Professional Bowlers Tour. So all in conjunction with that, we're going to be looking at the legends of that era from the 60s to the 90s. You know, bowling's probably gone on longer than that, but you got to remember also, too, that bowling on TV didn't start until 1961. So now it's been almost 62 years to the date that the PBA has been around. And also, too, we have a lot of lady bowlers on as well. So we'll be looking at men and women, the legends of it, the WIBC, which is the Women's International Bowling Congress. They all play together. And at the same time, we have come together to look at a sport that's been around for a long, long time. Started in St. Louis, actually, where the Bowling Hall of Fame is right now. And there is, I don't know if you've ever been out into that area, but there's an 8-lane establishment that is the oldest bowling alley in the United States, frankly, the world. And they have the old wooden lanes, wooden bowling balls, and the pin boy setters before automatic pins and before automatic scoring. So do check it out, because that's something that has been around and in preservation all this time. So we go on for an hour today, and we're going to be first looking at the thing that made the PBA itself. Yes, we're going to be looking at the history of the Professional Bowlers Association. All of our information comes from the Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. So, the Professional Bowlers Association, or the PBA, is the major sanctioning body for the sport of professional 10-pin bowling in the United States. Headquartered actually in Chicago, Illinois, the PBA membership consists of over 3,000 members worldwide. Members include pro shop owners and workers, teaching professionals and bowlers who compete in the various events put on by the association. As published on PBA.com, the Professional Bowlers Association is the world's preeminent organization dedicated to the sport of bowling and its professional competition, with thousands of members and millions of fans throughout the world. The PBA plays host to bowling's biggest tournaments, including the PBA Tour, the Regional Tour, and the PBA 50 Tour. The PBA has launched the PBA League Bowler Certification Program, and this program provides league bowlers access to statistics, digital awards, rules and regulations, and new tournaments, including the PBA LBC National Championships. Other PBA membership programs include PBA Pinsiders, which is a membership program for the sport's most enthusiastic fans, and PBA Junior, which is a club for elite youth bowlers under the age of 17. So as we mentioned, it's the PBA Tour that has the annual calendar events currently running from January to September. The Regional Tour allows PBA members and qualifying amateurs to compete in weekend events. The tour consists of 7 regions: Central, East, Midwest, Northwest, South, Southwest, and West. Then you have the PBA 50 to 60 tours. Originally the PBA Senior Tour, it was split in 2013 and now based on age. Set up like the PBA Tour, but allowing PBA members age 50 years and older. And after the 2013 rebranding, a different tour for members 60 years and older to compete in their own events. The PBA 50-60 tours also have regional events. The United States Bowling Congress sanctioned events on the PBA 50 Tour are still branded as Senior, and PBA 60 Tour events are branded as Super Senior. Then you have World Bowling Tours, That's outside of North America, the Women's Regional Tour, the PBA's Women's Series, and the PBA Junior. And as of September 9th, the PBA is owned by Bolero Corporation. Now, prior to the PBA's inception, bowling was broadcast on television sporadically, beginning in the early 1950s. NBC began with an early 50s special telecast entitled Championship Bowling. Later, regular weekly bowling shows, including Jackpot Bowling, began airing nationally. At the same time, there was a desire to start a professional bowling division in the United States, an effort led by Eddie Elias, a sports agent based in Akron, Ohio. During the 1958 ABC tournament in Syracuse, that's the American Bowling Congress, 60 men, including Don Carter, Frank Esposito, Buzz Fazio, Matt Labar, Carmen Salvino, Billy Wu, Glenn Allison, Steve Nagy, Harry Smith, Ray Bluth, Dick Hoover, Bill Bonetta, Robert Bobby Bellew, wow, what's names? Vito Quisera and Junie McMahon attended a presentation by Elias. Now, after listening to his proposal, 33 of the men donated $50 each, totaling $1,650 to start the organization, which was incorporated in 1958 and headquartered in Akron, Ohio. The investors then became charter members of the PBA, basically giving them lifetime membership. Bill Bonetta was slated to be the first commissioner of the PBA by Eddie Elias, but Bill was still a very active bowler and turned down the position to continue his bowling and teaching career. Competition in 1959 began with 3 tournaments. Italian-born Lou Campy of Dumont, New Jersey, won the first event, the Empire State Open, and Dick Weber won the other 2, the Paramus Eastern Open and the Dayton Open. The PBA Tour slowly built an audience, expanding to 7 tournaments in 1960, then 13 tournaments in 1961, before exploding with 30 tour stops in 1962. Weber would become the first face of the PBA in the early years, as he won 10 of the first 23 events held, including 7 in 1961 alone. And while PBA bowlers regularly appeared on Jackpot Bowling, Elias led an effort to give the PBA a permanent home on television. It first did so with the interstitial Make That Spare on ABC Sports, which ran from 1960 to 64, and then with full games on Professional Bowlers Tour beginning in 1965. Coupled with the continued support of its chartered members, as well as sponsorships by the Ford Motor Company, Coca-Cola, which sponsored 11 tournaments in 63 alone, True Value Hardware and Firestone Tire, and the PBA experienced growth in its tournament schedules and prize funds. Annual incomes for professional bowlers became, at the time, very competitive with other professional sports. A Sports Illustrated article from 1963 noted that top bowler Harry Smith stood to make as much money in 63 as Major League Baseball's NL MVP Sandy Koufax and NFL football MVP Y.A. Tittle combined. Schedules reached a plateau of 35 tournaments per year in the 80s. The 1965 Firestone Tournament of Champions was the first to offer $100,000 in prize money, including a then record $25,000 first prize. The 1982 event featured a $200,000 purse, and the 1987 U.S. Open, sponsored by Seagram Distillery, offered a $500,000 prize fund, as well as the first $100,000 first place prize in PBA history. So by the 1980s, True Value pledged $100,000 to any roller of a perfect game on national television, increased to a $200,000 sum during its own True Value Open. And prior to this, the PBA would award a televised 300 game with $10,000 and in some seasons, a new Ford or Mercury automobile. In addition, in the early 90s, the Miller Brewing Company offered $1 million to any bowler who could win all 3 of its sponsored tournaments in a given season. And as television exposure increased for the PBA, it spun off a PBA Senior Tour in 1981 with Bill Beach winning the first Seniors Championship that year. Having been renamed the PBA 50 Tour in 2013, the Senior Bowling Tour continues to the present day. In 1986, a group of professionals who were dissatisfied with PBA management formed the Touring Pro Bowlers Group, or the TPB. After meeting resistance, the TPB took on the PBA in an antitrust suit. Though settled out of court, the lawsuit did serious financial damage to the PBA, and by the late 90s, television audiences for the PBA Tour had waned in the wake of cable television's explosion and the variety of sports viewing choices now offered, particularly college football on Saturday afternoons. The Professional Bowlers Tour ended its 36-year run on ABC with a final broadcast on June 21st, 1997. CBS and Fox Sports Net would carry PB events until ESPN gained exclusive broadcast rights in 2001. Elias continued to be involved in the PBA until his death in 1998. Now, the PBA was purchased in March of 2000 by former Microsoft executives Chris Peters, he was the chairman, Rob Glazer, and Mike Slade, and its corporate headquarters were moved to Seattle, Washington, together with CEO Steve Miller, a former Nike executive. They are recognized for rescuing the PBA from the brink of extinction. In 2011, Jeff Reese was appointed as the PBA's CEO and Tom Clark as PBA commissioner. These two assumed the share CEO commissioner post that was held by Fred Schreier since he took over from Miller in 2005. The PBA was featured in the 2006 sports documentary, A League of Ordinary Gentlemen. The documentary, filmed during the 2002 to 2003 season, enjoyed a limited release in theaters before being released in a DVD format in March of 2006. The PBA was also featured and acknowledged in the 2007 film 7-10 Split. Then in 2003, the PWBA, the Professional Women's Bowling Association, folded, and the PBA began allowing female members in 2004. Missy Belinder Parkin became the first female PBA member, while Liz Johnson became the first to cash in a PBA Tour event, and later in 2005, the first to make a PBA Tour telecast. In conjunction with the USBC, the PBA would later inaugurate the PBA Women's Series in 2007, following ESPN telecast of the U.S. Women's Open, and it brought back semi-regular women's bowling telecasts for the first time since the demise of the PWBA. The top two seeds out of a field of 16 faced each other in one match, aired prior to the men's championship match, and the women's series expanded from 4 events in 2007 to 8 events in 2008-09 and 09 to 2010 before being canceled. We're going to take a little break and come back with more of the history of the PBA right after this.
Fire!
It's not easy getting so much rich chocolate into a Three Musketeers bar. Fortunately, it's a lot easier to get all that incredible tasting chocolate out of it.
Come on along, I'll take you to the lullaby of Broadway. The hickory and ballyhoo.
The lullaby of Broadway.
And in the center of it all
Is the Milford Plaza.
Stay at the Milford Plaza Hotel with cocktail, dinner, and breakfast for $49.50 per person. Discover why we are the lullaby of Broadway.
The Milford Plaza is the lullaby of all Broadway.
MTA interviews 30 Comics, take one.
Take the train.
Why have over 1 million people taken the JFK Express?
Because it's faster than taking a taxi. Because it's very fast, clean, and safe.
And that's the only way to fly.
It's safe.
Oh, I work for United Airlines, and it's quicker than the bus.
So we're taking the train to the plane to save money.
To spend in Paris.
Take the train to the plane.
You take the train to the plane.
The JFK Express, only $4, including shuttle bus. Call 858-7272.
Train to the plane.
I'm Murray Linder. On bagels, I'm an expert. People I'll never understand. I tell them a delicious Linder's bagel has more complex carbohydrates than a lot of cereals people call healthy. 20% more. Well, who wouldn't take a toasty, chewy Linder's bagel over what's in a cereal bowl? But some people still think bowl healthy. Look, if you still think good stuff has to come in a bowl, here you go. Linder's Bagels. Who knew they were this good?
New family members mean new responsibilities and new needs for life and health insurance protection. Why not drop in on your MetLife representative to help you figure out what's right for you and your family? Get Met. It pays.
Benny, the chicken. Throw him the chicken! The chicken, Benny! Please, Benny! The chicken! Throw him the chicken!
But it's Roy Rogers' chicken.
It's chicken month at Roy's. And now get a two-piece dinner, medium fries, a 15-ounce drink, just $2.99.
I hate machines. Sorry, Rosie.
Why don't we go to the new Sprint store at Radio Shack, George? They have Sprint's easy-to-use products.
And the know-how of Radio Shack.
They even showed Astro how to use his mobile phone.
They could even help you, Mr. J. Astro has a mobile phone? Well, oh, Rhonda.
The new Sprint store at Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers.
Hello, I'm Joe DeCandia, the owner of Lenny's Columbine Restaurant. I would like to welcome you to Lenny's. We serve you the finest Italian seafood like calamari, baked clams, lobster tail served with shrimps, mussels, and linguine. Our delicious pasta dishes are mouth-watering treat, and Italian specialty are unforgettable. Visit one of Lenny's nearest you and enjoy a glass of wine in the house.
And welcome back to the Legends of the PBA. It is the episode number 1 of our great show. This is the premiere episode, September 4th, 2023. A happy Labor Day to all of you. You know, in my time of bowling, I was on a couple of leagues myself. I started when I was actually, a great story about that. I started when I was I was 9 years old. And in 1986, I was bowling up in New York on some intramural leagues. And practiced with an 8-pound plastic bowling ball. But I got my own bowling ball, and from then on, well, the rest is history. You know, you look back and you say to yourself, man, where does it go? So I started at the age of 9 and bowled up until about the age of 35. So it was an illustrious 27-year run, but I had a little time and break in between, and I was bowling on some in-house local leagues. I was a member of the ABC, which was the American Bowling Congress, which was good because they sanctioned the leagues here in Florida. So all the leagues had governing bodies which could adhere to the rules. And that way a secretary was able to collect the money that we were able to give every week, which was about $24 to $28 a week. We bowled 36 weeks, 18 in the fall and 18 in the spring, and it was every Sunday night, and but we had a good time. I met a lot of great people, got a lot of tips, was still watching bowling, you know, even when I was a kid watching it, and I got it from the tips and everything, you know, the tip of the week from Nelson Burton Jr., who, by the way, is one of bowling's elite bowlers, and by that, I mean, when we talk about Nelson Burton Jr., he is not only a great commentator with Chris Schenkel, who made that staple of ABC's Professional Bowlers Tour, but he himself was still actively bowling at the time that he was commentating. As you can see, if you ever watched the 1984 Angle Open that was in St. Louis, he swept the field, won the prize money, and rolled over 1,000 scratch for his 4 games. So he himself had broken a record that day. And it's something that you can look back on and say that the incredible surface and the urethane bowling balls and the amazing shots, that's something that we all will look at. And maybe we can get some bowlers on here to have an interview. That would be interesting to get some professional bowlers. We're going to look at a lot of them. Some of them have passed on. Some of them are still alive today. And I would love to reach out to all of those professionals and talk to them in some way, shape, or form and get their perspective on how the sport has changed over the years, what they remember back from when they were on the tour and their exciting wins, and what stood out the most about the equipment that they used compared to what they're using today, because a lot has changed over the course of the 62 years that the PBA has been around. So with all of that, let's continue on of our look at the history of the PBA itself right now. So in 2009, financial difficulties and the general state of the U.S. economy caused the tour to reduce the number of tour stops and overall events, while also reducing the number of live TV finals broadcasts. The PBA combined its fall schedule of 6 standard PBA tournaments plus qualifying for the PBA World Championship into a single World Series of Bowling event held that year in Allen Park, Michigan, near Detroit. All fall TV finals except the PBA World Championship were taped and aired at a later date on ESPN, while all but one of the Winter Tour events continued to hold live TV finals. And in 2010, the World Series of Bowling was moved to Las Vegas, Nevada, and consisted of 5 tournaments with taped TV finals and qualifying for the PBA World Championship. The overall schedule that season was reduced to just 12 title events, with portions of 3 winter season events being taped and aired after the fact. Kelly Kulick won the 2010 Tournament of Champions, where she was the first ever female competitor in the field, and this also made her the first woman to win any Professional Bowlers Association Tour event that was also open to men. For the 2011-2012 season, a total of 14 TV broadcasts were taped at the 2011 World Series of Bowling in Las Vegas to be aired on later dates. And for the first time, the TV finals for the PBA World Championship did not air live. In fact, ESPN only aired the finals of the PBA's 3 remaining major tournaments, the USB Masters, the US Open, and the Tournament of Champions, in a live 2012 broadcast. All other ESPN broadcasts for Winter 2012 were taped events from the World Series, where the 4 additional non-major title tournaments were available live via the PBA's Extra 7th Frame or Extra Frame webcast service. So along with reduced stops, prize funds for some standard tournaments were reduced starting in 2010, with as little as $15,000 going to the winner. The 2011 championship, or the Tournament of Champions, however, did offer a PBA record $1 million prize money fund and an unprecedented $250,000 top prize. Whew. It's more money than they would probably give away in any other sport that I can think of, you know. In January of 2013, the PBA League, consisting of 8 teams of 5 professional bowlers each, held its first event. And on the eve of the PBA Tour's 60th season, the PBA provided some statistics on the history of the tour and its bowlers. Over 10,000 bowlers have held PBA membership since the organization's founding in 1958. As of September 1st, 2017, 345 different bowlers have won a PBA Tour title. And among the 345 winners, 124 won only 1 title in their career, while 51 bowlers have earned 10 or more titles. September 10th, 2019, Bowlero Corporation, the world's largest operating of bowling centers, announced it had purchased the PBA. Bolero's chief customer officer, Kali Edison, was appointed CEO of the PBA. Bowlero announced that current PBA commissioner Tom Clark will continue in that role. And in January 2022, Kali Edison stepped down as CEO to become Chief Growth Financial Officer for the WNBA. And as you know, now he's not paying a paycheck out to the Mets because you can't do it right now. So, but what was that? Wait a minute. The Mets? We're not talking about the Mets. He was with the WNBA. Okay. Pardon me, folks. Reading the wrong line of information. Live, so we can't go back on it. All right. A little more here, and then we'll go to PBA Tour titles after the break. Beginning with the 2019 PBA Tour season, television coverage moved from ESPN to Fox Sports, with 26 broadcasts being held on Fox Sports 1 and 4 broadcasts of terrestrial Fox stations. 2023, the PBA Tour Finals returned to CBS Sports Network for the 2023 PBA Tour season. So I wanted to say that in January 2022, Kali Edison stepped down as CEO to become the Chief Growth Officer for the NBA, the WNBA, actually. So, wasn't dealing with bowling anymore. Went to the WNBA and started playing basketball and started hanging out with those people. You got to do what you got to do. It's 4:28 right now on the time at WJDC Studios in beautiful Oviedo, Florida. We're going to be right back with a look at more of the history of the Professional Bowlers Association here, the league, more history, and the Hall of Fame, and some other side notes and stuff of that matter coming up in just about a few minutes here. We'll be right back.
Here comes the one, the game is just one. Heinz is the big rich one. There's only one ketchup with this flavor pouring on. So thick, so rich, so second to none.
Only one ketchup stands for this kind of thickness with this kind of taste. Heinz.
Heinz is the big rich one.
Ketchup lovers, now try Heinz in the 64-ounce plastic bottle.
Okay, Jonathan, we're sending you back in time.
Before television, radio, even before soft drinks. Careful. Anything you do could change history.
Mum's the word.
Activate time travel mode to the year 1885.
He's there.
Hey, where's my Pepsi?
Oh, no. He took it.
Relax, Smith. What could 12 ounces of Pepsi possibly change?
Yeah, what could happen?
Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
Do you wanna dance? Hold my hand.
Now there's a car that just asks to be driven.
You're my lover man. Oh, baby.
Mercury is bringing a sophisticated new shape to the American road. Introducing Sable. Mercury, the shape you want to be in.
Victoria.
But they finally found a substitute for the sweet roll.
Hey, Nutrigrain's new almond raisins.
What is it, nuts and twigs?
Try almond raisins and these great new flakes made with brown rice.
But there's no sugar added. Irv, you're going to love the taste, even though it's healthy. Hey, don't you have a story to write? How's this? Man eats healthy food and lives.
The amazing taste of Nutrigrain's new almond raisin.
It's news.
It's fun getting to the bottom of one. It's fun getting to the bottom of one. White Mountain Cooler. Keeping it light. Cooler. Crisp and refreshing. It's got the taste that's always right. It's fun getting to the bottom of one.
Original and new orange.
It's time. Time for a credit card that gives you a better deal.
The Discover Card.
With the new Discover Card, you don't have to pay an annual fee. In fact, we pay you with money back on everything you buy. Money you can apply against your balance.
Way to find that right tomorrow. The Discover Card puts money in a whole new life.
From a member of Sears Financial Network. Look for more information in the mail or in national magazines.
Welcome back to the Legends of the PBA. It's Season 1, Episode 1 on this Monday, September 4th, 2023. Hope you're having a fantastic Labor Day weekend. We're going to wrap up this Season 1 episode pretty early on an early note. Usually we go on for an hour or two, depending on how long the information that we're going to give to you is available. We're also going to make a note on this show. We're scheduled to have it 2 days a week, but we're going to only make it once a week. Okay. So next week, I'm going to take it off the schedule. I've made a decision on it because I've got so much going right now. Once a week, we'll do this show same time at 4:00. It'll be live, of course. And if you have any specific types of information you'd like to share with us, or if you are a bowler yourself and you're part of the PBA or the American Bowling Congress and you would like to talk about your experiences with bowling, we'll be glad to have you on the show. This is an open show where comments are available to be expressed, questions. I'll do my best to answer as much as I can. On the sports side of bowling, I know a lot about the pins. I know a lot about, shots and everything. But as far as, the business end of it, I can give you all the tournaments and the winners and all the stats and statistics that went on. And this Legends show is basically going to fathom around the people who basically made the PBA what it is. The forefathers, like, of course, Dick Weber and Carmen Salvino, and then, leading us up into the 70s with Mark Roth, Pete Weber, eventually coming to the 80s, Earl Anthony, all those legends who have passed on and gave us great entertainment and great sports games and competitions for all of that. And then, of course, we get into the 80s where you've got a whole new generation of people like Brian Voss and David Ozio coming in. And then in the 90s, you've got another group of people coming in that just totally take over that decade, bringing us, of course, to where we are today, which we won't really focus on that much. But I could tell you that this show is going to basically talk about more about the history of it. And, of course, what better way to talk about it than with, of course, the ABC Professional Bowlers Tour from 1961 to 1997. And we all remember that on Saturday afternoons at 3:00 in the afternoon. We couldn't wait to have that show come on because not only if you were a bowler, you could wait for your tip of the week. If you were an avid sports fan in general, you watched because it was a great contest. It was a great competition and tournament. And it led into Wide World of Sports at 4:30. So you got a taste of your sports early on, as early as 3:00 in the afternoon on Saturdays. And, of course, if you were all sports all day, you watched college basketball or football up until about 3:00, then switched on ABC to see all of the good stuff that went on the Professional Bowlers Tour. So with all of that and the connections that go with it, the stories that people would like to tell, bring them here to our show, and we'll let you tell them. We'll ask you the questions, you give us the answers, and it'll be a great hour program. Set it up. You can talk to David St. Dennis or myself, and we will get you the necessary information and a scheduled time when you want to come on. We are here every week on Monday from 4 to 5, give or take, depending on the subject matter. We'll also talk about equipment and other things that make the sport what it is. And if you guys have any ideas for future shows, that would be greatly appreciated as well. So even though this show is about the people who made the sport, we'll talk a little bit about the sport itself with some things you probably knew and things you didn't know. And always take some notes down because you never know. We may give you a helpful hint at the end of the program. So let's look really carefully at the last thing, and that's the Hall of Fame. Now, the Hall of Fame was founded in 1975 with 8 initial inductees, 6 for performance. That was Ray Bluth, Don Carter, Carmen Salvino, Harry Smith, Dick Weber, and Billy Welu, and 2 from Meritorious Service, Frank Esposito and Chuck Pisano. Now, since its inception, it was located at the International Bowling Museum and Hall of Fame in St. Louis, Missouri. It's now part of the new United States Bowling Congress headquarters in Arlington, Texas. And through 2021, there are 113 PBA Hall of Fame members in 3 categories, 55 in performance, 39 in Meritorious Service, and there are 19 veterans and seniors. Membership in the Hall of Fame was originally determined by annual elections, and from 2000 to 2008, those in the performance category had to have 10 PBA titles or 2 major championships on their resume, as well as be retired from the tour for 5 years. Another revision took effect in 2008. Bowlers can now qualify for the Hall of Fame based on 5 PBA titles on their resume, as long as 2 of those titles were major championships. Other active bowlers can now qualify for the Hall as well if they have 20 years of membership and are elected. Then late in 2008, the PBA announced the launch of a new PBA Seniors Hall of Fame. John Handegard, at the time the all-time leader in PBA senior titles at 14, became the first inductee on January 24th, 2009. So there you have it, friends. Looking really good. And we'll also look at sponsorships. We'll look at, of course, Chris Schenkel, Nelson Burton Jr., the commentators and reporters for ABC's Professional Bowlers Tour. Look at their great, illustrious careers as well. It's all going to happen over the course of this season. We hope you'll stay with us for 52 great shows in season number 1. And maybe if you would like to be on the program, it can happen. I'm going to leave it at that right now. I should have gone on for an additional half an hour, but I'm going to leave you with some information that's good enough to absorb into the brain. You deserve it. We all work hard on this Labor Day, and we should be laboring and not working, right? But another happy Labor Day to all of you here. And remember to, of course, be safe, have fun with your family and friends, drive defensively if you're out on the road, and if you're drinking tonight, have a designated driver, please. Thank you. We appreciate it. From all of us here at the David 3000 Network, I'm Jason DeCanio. Remember, be honest, be real, and keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. We will see you next week, where we'll do episode number 2 with a very interesting look at the first of many legends. We'll look at Don Carter next week on the Legends of the PBA. Have a great night, or a great afternoon, actually, wherever you are. And we will definitely see you next week. Bye for now.
Don't forget to subscribe to the David 3000 Network for great more content like this one.